chair for the empress.
Is it her throne?
No, this is it's for her throne, but not for the dragon lady, for the empress, for the emperor's wife. The emperor lived in that building, and the wife stayed very close to the emperor's residence. So this place is designated for that emperor's wife, for the empress. But that emperor didn't like her, so they didn't get along very well.
It's good to have two separate houses.
Yes. That is arranged marriage.
Oh, okay.
The dragon lady asked him to marry that lady. That lady was actually her niece, her brother's daughter. And the emperor was her sister's son. They were the relatives. They were cousins.
Yeah.
Oh.
But the emperor didn't like her. And there's one concubine that emperor loved her very much. But in 1900, right before the 8 countries allied forces invaded Beijing, the dragon lady had her throne drowned in a water well in the Forbidden City. Asked the eunuch carry her, throw her into that water well. She was the most favored concubine of the emperor. That concubine, she got along very well with the emperor, and she supported the reform.
Oh.
Yeah, which advocated and supported by the emperor, which is brutally surprised by the dragon lady.
What happened to the dragon lady when, like, the people invaded here?
She escaped. She fled away to Xi'an. She disguised herself like a common regular old lady and fled away from the Forbidden City to Xi'an, the terracotta warriors place. That place is about 1,000 kilometers away, and she returned next year in 1901. So this is the highlight in the Summer Palace. It's called the Hall of Happiness and Longevity. The living quarter for the dragon lady. During her stay in the Summer Palace, it divided into several parts. But the middle part, the middle chamber, that was a place where she had her lunch and dinner. People would prepare like 128 courses for each of her meal. So each of her meal could feed like 4,000 people for a day. She had a very luxury, fancy life.
She was eating everything?
No. She eat a little bit and gave out most of those fancy dinners to those eunuchs, palace maid, or the concubines. Right in front of the building, there stands a bronze crane, bronze deer, and a bronze vase. They are the symbols of the universal peace based on their Chinese pronunciation. 六合太平. All right, so that's what their symbolize for. And look at the chandelier in the middle. Chandelier, the light. That is the first chandelier, electric light ever installed in China in 1903. You see that one? In the middle, the chandelier. So which was given by those German company. This huge stone was quarried by a Ming official, but who spent all the money that he had for the transportation, and he didn't make it succeed. He left it on the roadside. 100 years later, it was found by this Qing Emperor Qianlong. He ordered to transport this huge stone to his own garden in the Summer Palace, but the emperor's mother didn't like it, and gave it a name as a family bankruptcy stone, because the transportation cost that official bankrupt.
That's sad.
Yeah, that was sad. All right, here. Now we are about to walk into this long corridor. The longest corridor in the Guinness Book. Yeah, this long corridor started from here. It's called Greeting Moon Gate, which stretches 728 meters. And there are more than 14,000 paintings were drawn along the corridor, so also regarded as the longest art gallery in the world.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is the right section cursive or this is the same?
No,
handwriting?
that's the Manchu. Right.
Excellent, very good. Yes, there are two latest dynasties in China's history. One is called Ming, and the other one called Qing. Both of them set Beijing as their capital cities. But the last one, Qing, they were Manchurian people. Like in China, we have 56 nationalities, and Manchurian is one of 55 ethnic minorities. They have their own characters and they have their own language.
Yeah, like the royal family had their own.
That's right. So they write those plaques write them in two languages, both Chinese and Manchurian.
Okay.
That's a very good question. And 273 sections. It was originally built in 1750 for the Emperor Qianlong's mother, who enjoyed the sense of the lake in rainy days. So her son, the emperor, built this long covered walkway for his mother. There's a bridge over there. It's called a 17 Arches Bridge or Marco Polo Bridge.
Why is it called Marco Polo?
Because Marco Polo, who made a trip to China in the 13th century during the Mongolian occupation, and there's a who in his journey book, or traveling book, he recorded a very famous bridge. So people call that bridge as the Marco Polo Bridge, which is still in southern Beijing. So they made a copy here to resemble that bridge. Marco Polo, who is an Italian, who never made a trip to China. Most people don't believe it. He made a trip here.
Alright, that's strange. Because he's supposed to. He told the story, was written, and the prison.
But yeah, he heard a lot of stories about this country, but he never made a trip to here.
Oh, that's strange.
We need to climb like 100 steps up to that tower.
Easy.
Yeah, it's a piece of cake compared to the Great Wall climbing. So 290 hectares, 3/4 of which is taken up by this huge lake. But unfortunately that temple was destroyed twice in 1860 and 1900 successively. Now a tourist cannot go into that temple, where there are more than 1,000 Buddhas were enshrined on this tower. 41 meters high, the tallest building in this area. Long corridor. We have finished half of this and continue to the next half of this corridor. Wow.